Hey everybody, how's it going? Kane here. We're doing another TCC Extreme Challenge. It's time for Act 2, Chapter 10. On top of Synergy for band units, we have Nacho, Kefka, Arciela, Desolation, Alphinaud, Galoof, and Cater. And on top of that, you have to allow each Avenger to use Rage at least twice before dying. So here's a list of the teams, at least as of me recording this, who've been used so far. You can see most of the teams have double heals on them, with the exception of the delay teams that went with only a single healer. For my run, I'm going to be using the team that the exact same team hasn't been used quite yet, which is going to be Alphinaud, Keiss, and Hope. So I am going with the double healer option. So Wave 1 isn't that big of a deal. You got the Hollow Riders. There's 3 of them, so just try not to get broke too often. When the one does an all attack, it's going to be an HP attack. Not going to be too much damage, as long as you've got Hope. So we don't have any actual burst healers, because Hope only heals on his EX. And it's not a huge amount, but his EX is relatively fast. And you got Alphinaud, who heals okay with his skill 2. Nothing major, but you're not able to burst heal if you need, which is why you kind of have to keep on top of it with this particular team. Then we've got Keiss, just to bring the damage. You always want to make sure that with Keiss, you have AoE units. That way you can actually utilize more than one chase. Because with Keiss, when you do his second skill, it gives a unique buff to the individual party member that you choose. Keiss moves behind that individual, and then that individual initiates a launch on their next move. But if it's an AoE unit, it's kind of similar to Noctis' Shooting Star Plus or Lael's EX, where every other target can be launched on the next turn. So like in this case, if you set it up right, you actually get 3 chases out of each skill 2 with Keiss. So you just always want to make sure that you do an AoE move after. So if Alphinaud doesn't have his EX buff up, I'm not going to jump behind Alphinaud, because if you use energy gain, then it's only going to launch one. You're not going to be able to launch the others. And if you use Moonstone, then you're not actually going to get the launch at all, because you have to do the move. You have to launch them on the next turn. So if you do a move that doesn't actually attack the bosses, you essentially waste Keiss's buff. So Alphinaud, I'm just sticking with his rotation as much as possible. Pretty much with Alphinaud, you want to pop his EX, then you want a HP plus free skill, because after you use the HP plus version, when he has Obsidian with his EX, you get a free skill. So you want to, ideally, I prefer to EX, HP plus, free skill, then HP plus 2 times in a row. That way, when he no longer has Obsidian, you still get the free skill for the last time you used HP plus, the free skill again, and then the very next turn, Alphinaud's EX should be ready. So pretty much as long as you keep that rotation up, you will never actually have to use a skill that's not free with Alphinaud, which is good because that allows you to save those skills to spam to get the EX charge up faster if necessary. Just like on how with skill 1, you can spam that to get his EX ready if necessary. Hope, his first skill gives a magic resistance buff, and his skill 2 gives a physical attack resistance buff. I believe it's 60%. And then he also has other buffs. I believe it's an attack on skill 1 and a speed on skill 2. I could be wrong about that. But so you just want to make sure that those buffs stay up. These guys, you want to kill them semi-evenly. They can't be debuffed after they reach a certain threshold. So I'm trying to really only use HP pluses with Hope, just to save skills and pretty much have Alphinaud do a majority of the damage, because he's got the 50% splash on his HP plus. So this wave isn't that difficult. Just make sure that you don't get broken unless absolutely necessary. If you know you are going to get broken, you've got somebody behind who can go ahead and get you in a safe area. When they have the all attack, they're going to do an HP attack, but as you can see there, with the damage resist buffs from Hope. Doesn't do that much damage, and you can easily heal back up. The problem is Wave 2. Those are the guys that are a pain. So with Wave 2, pretty much how they work is you have a couple turns before their bar is going to be, before their rage bar is going to be full all the way. And then when they do their rage move, they cleanse all debuffs that are on them. They do a rage attack, which will then debuff every buff that your party member has, including frame buffs. So if you think about it, whoever designed this stage, I'm not quite sure what they were thinking, because normally the units that you take, their kits complement the stage, but in this case it's like, okay, we're going to feature a new character, Gabranth, who's a debuffer, but oh, in Wave 1, you can't debuff these guys once they get past a certain health threshold. So he's essentially not as good in Wave 1 because, you know, the guaranteed break and re-break on his skill 2 and EX and the extra splash and everything is based on having at least 4 debuffs on the target so that his unique debuff is the better version. So you can't debuff Wave 1. That kind of hinders his ability. Then you can debuff Wave 2, which is why Gabranth is good. But they cleanse the debuffs when they do their rage move. And then one of the units who's featured is Lena, who has debuff immunity. But guess what? They cast a debuff that you cannot possibly dodge, that's a guaranteed hit. So her debuff immunity doesn't mean anything. And when they do their rage move, they automatically get rid of all your buffs, even framed ones, so Lena's debuff immunity doesn't matter. And then the one move that they do, that's a guaranteed hit with the debuff, Ardor, puts a debuff on your party member that anytime they do any action, the enemies, both of them, are going to counter. So even if you do an action that doesn't physically attack the enemies, like if you do a C65, or if you're to do Moonstone, for instance, or either one of Hope's skills that are buffs that don't actually attack the boss, they still counter. Which doesn't really make sense because typically countering implies that they're countering an attack, but they literally essentially just attack after any move that either party member does. So originally my Hope was 1 out of 3. I went ahead and purpled Hope because I got close with this exact team a few times, and I just went ahead and purpled Hope. The extra damage and everything definitely made a difference because I only actually had 1 reset on Wave 2. So with this wave, pretty much you just want to make sure that when they do the rage attack, that you have Hope's physical damage resist buff up, because their rage skill is a physical move. So if you have that up, you shouldn't take too much HP damage the first hit. Now they are going to go ahead and wipe all your buffs off, so the next one's going to hit you harder, but depending everybody has enough brave, you should be able to survive it. You just want to make sure that you don't get broken during the rage move, because if anybody in the party gets broken, or if the bosses attack somebody who is already broken, they'll give themselves a HP and brave regain buff, which you want to try and avoid that at all costs if possible. So Hope has the debuff on him, which is okay. Alphinaud can pretty much break them, so as long as Alphinaud gets to go, then with this particular team you're safe, because Hope can go, they'll counter, they'll most likely come out of break and get brave, but then Alphinaud will still be able to push them back into the safe area. So then here we go with that launch. I didn't use the HP plus with Hope just because I want to try and prevent getting broken. So I did the Brave Plus to battery him, battery the party a bit, and still at least initiate the launch and get some damage done. So yeah, we probably got about 1 or 2 more moves before the rage bar is full. Now Hope is really good for this because of the brave damage reduction really helps. His heal isn't the best, but combined with Alphinaud, it's usually enough. And then Hope C65 also reduces, I believe it's 40% of HP damage. So that combined with the brave damage reduction buff usually helps out a lot with these guys. So they're about to rage. I'm going to go ahead and just brave attack with Alphinaud because I want to make sure that everybody... Actually, no, I didn't brave attack there. That's right, I didn't brave attack because I knew that Keiss would be going and that he would be able to go ahead and give everybody a little bit of brave, and then Hope can go ahead and give everybody a little bit of brave, and Alphinaud will be fine. I went ahead and popped the C65 just because I didn't want to chance it. He has 2. And the idea is that hopefully they'll only get the rage move off twice before you're able to at least kill one of them. Because these guys don't rage, so you can actually try and kill one a little faster. That way you only have to deal with one. It's a lot easier trying to heal up after one target debuffing you, cleansing you, and HP attacking you than it is 2. So you can see the second hit there did more damage. Got lucky because it missed Hope. But still wasn't anything terrible, but that's also because we had the HP damage reduction from Hope C65. Yeah, these guys were just awful to deal with. I mean, their mechanics are just ridiculous because, you know, especially if they do Ardor and they're targeting 2 different people, I mean, that means you only have one character who can freely do whatever they want and not worry. Because, you know, what usually happens is you'll attack them, they'll counter, they'll usually come out of break, and then have a bunch of brave. So, I mean, there's numerous occasions where they'd be broken, they'd attack, they'd come out of break, they'd have 10,000 brave, they're not doing their rage attack yet, but oh, now they have 10,000 brave, boom, they're going to do an HP attack on you, now you've only got 1,000, 2,000 hit points left maybe, and then you will die on the next rage move. And I mean, sometimes you have no choice because, you know, like in this case, if Hope had the debuff, which fortunately he doesn't, but if he did, you know, there's nothing I can do. They both weren't broken, so even if I did attack them, if they came out of break, I wouldn't have anybody to go after Hope who could then re-break them to keep them safe. The actual challenge quest for this wasn't that bad, just because of the units used, because you got Gabranth, who also has the brave damage reduction. He also has HP damage reduction with the C65. He's got a rebreak mechanic on his EX and his skill 2, as long as the boss has at least 4 debuffs on. That way his unique debuff becomes the better version, so you can kind of push them back if necessary. He's got splash damage, so Gabranth is good for this. You've got Lena, who heals very fast, and you've got Vaughn, who pretty much can burst them down very quickly, especially if you have his LD, because that essentially gives you 9 free skill uses. So brave attack, Alphinaud, because he still does HP damage, but he refills his brave based on the damage dealt, so he's still relatively safe. There's that counter, see what I mean? They're broke, now they have 6,000. Next thing you know, they'll attack you and they'll have 12. I mean, this one was just a particularly bad one. I mean, the TCCs are always pretty challenging, but this one was very challenging just because of the mechanics of how this particular boss fight works. You know, in conjunction with the units that they banned. You know, with them banning Galoof, Cater, Alphinaud, I mean, Cater, it doesn't matter if they put the debuff on her because most likely she's going to evade and counter anyways. Galoof, well, they'll completely miss Galoof because I think all their attacks pretty much are physical. So with Galoof, with his counter, you essentially can force the debuff on him because no matter who they're targeting, Galoof's going to jump in front of them. But then when they try and counter, they're going to miss because of his evade. He's going to counter right back. So Galoof would make it a heck of a lot easier. Then you got Alphinaud because she also has brave damage reduction and she gets to go multiple times. And she can burst heal very fast after you pop her EX with her Brave Plus special variant. Because this team isn't exactly a burst heal team. You've got Hope on his EX whenever it's ready, and you got Alphinaud on his skill 2, which is a mild heal. It's nothing that is anything insane. So right here, I'm just trying to get the EX charged up a little faster. So I use the skill. I know his EX will be ready next turn. So what I can do here is energy drain, because I know that Alphinaud's going to get to go before them now. So Alphinaud will go ahead and pop the EX. We'll have Bravery from doing the EX, and then we'll be able to go ahead and take the hit from the rage move without getting broke. Now the spacing is a little bad right here because A is about to do the rage move, B isn't yet. So I'm about to get debuffed when A does the rage move, and I'm gonna have to wait a few turns until B goes for B to do it again. So even though these buffs are about to come off, I'm just trying to get the EX charged up a little bit. So now, Hope's EX should be ready. So I can pop that off, get a little bit of a heal. That should push A back behind Alphinaud. And if necessary, I can always sacrifice and use a skill 1 with Alphinaud to Brave Battery. That might be what I actually do here, I don't recall. Oh, no, guess not. In retrospect, I could have done that. I could have used Moonstone just to give everybody enough Brave. Because now, because Hope got broke, B is going to get the Brave Regain and HP Regain. But I don't think I was too worried. Just because from looking at it now, this was the best I'd done so far. I mean, I'd done better than this before. Like, I'd gotten it down to where there's only one left a few times. But as far as like the spacing, how long I have until their next rage move, knowing that I'd be able to heal up in time, at this point I felt that this was going to be the run that I finally finished it. So they're both going after Hope, it looks like. Which is fine. I usually find it better if they're both targeting the same person, because at least you only have one person that you have to worry about being countered. Go ahead and use Keiss's EX. Gotta get a little bit of Brave here, because I know that these all attacks after the Rage are not HP attacks, they're just group Brave. So I just want to keep everyone safe. Give everybody a little bit of heal there. Then Keiss will be able to shave the other one down. Sitting like there, I jump behind Hope because I know that Alphinaud's EX is not ready. At least I know that it wouldn't be ready the next turn. So I jump behind Hope because I knew that Hope's EX was ready, which will battery the team, which will make the next launch even better. I decided to go into the summon at that point, even though I didn't need to. At that exact moment, I was in no dire danger of dying right then because I still had a couple turns before they did the rage move. But I knew Hope's EX was ready, which is 100% AoE with the battery, so I figured that'd be as good a time as any to go into the summon and try and burn one of them down quickly. So I'm going to try and burn A down as quickly as I can, because A's got his rage, well, A has the least amount of health, so obviously go after A. A's rage bar is also closest to being finished. So if I know if I can take care of A, then I can make sure that I'm stocked up as far as Brave, make sure I have Hope's buffs on, and only have to deal with 1 HP attack instead of 2. Now, I believe this fight actually finished with like 5 skills left on Hope, I want to say. Because just with the turn order, a lot of times it wound up being that to try and get an ideal launch in, it was best to just jump behind Hope. So I wind up using a lot of HP pluses with Hope and not skills. So yeah, I think I had like 5 skills left at the end of this or something. So pretty much this was at the point where I knew that, okay, this is going to be the run I can actually finally do it. Seeing how they're both in the red, A's getting near death. I still have skills on all my units. Still got a few chases with Keiss I can throw in there. You know, B's got that HP recovery, but it's not that big of a deal. It's only 30,000 after each turn. That's fine, because Keiss can go ahead and take care of that. Could go ahead and jump behind Alphinaud. Alphinaud, go ahead and initiate the launch. This is the point where I'm like, okay, A needs to die now. I need to kill him. Because I'm seeing those 2 turns in a row, and I know it's going to be, okay, turn, and then the very next turn is going to be his rage move. So I'm like, okay, he has to die now. And this wound up being perfect, because Keiss' EX winds up killing A, breaking B, pushing B back behind Hope, so then I can rebuff up with Hope. And I believe I also pop off Hope's second C65 just to make sure. Oh, no, Keiss didn't kill. It was Hope that killed. Okay, my mistake. Yeah, so I got 1 chase left with Keiss, which is fine, that's all I need. Yeah, if I recall correctly, I try and stall here because I want to get Hope in front. So I go ahead and use the EX, and I believe after this, I pop off Alphinaud C65 to try and get him to come out of break, so I can push him behind Hope to then re-up everyone's buffs and get everybody safe. And yep, goes out of break. So we go ahead and attack him. Now we're in a very good spot because Hope can re-up the protection buff and pop off the C65. Yeah, 2,000, not a big deal. Good little spam there just to get Hope's EX ready. Go ahead and give everybody a little more health. Debuff's about to go on Alphinaud, but that's fine. He doesn't have much health left anyways. Yeah, Hope is definitely worth purpling. Definitely should have done it earlier, because I'm sure I'll probably wind up using Hope in the future on some of these. And if I believe the EX does kill here, so it's going to be 91 turns. And there we go. So definitely a challenging one. Definitely requires either some sort of a damage mitigation unit like Hope, or maybe Porum, or you can always go with the delay strategy. But thanks for watching. See y'all next time. Have a good one.